Hi, this is Earica Brown with Street Walking in Seattle. Let's hit the streets. Question for you is, how do you feel about the presidential?
I feel very strongly that we should not be electing a Republican candidate. So no go on Trump. As far as the Democrats, I'm siding with Bernie, but if Clinton gets the nomination, then I'm going to back her.
Now, are you relying on any sound bites from the media to steer your?
Not really, because the media is typically not biased, or are they biased? I forget what the phrasing is. But you know, I know that there's been a ton of the debates. I've only watched bits and pieces of that, and I actually get my news from Saturday Night Live. So that's kind of my barometer.
Right. Okay. So, what do you think about politics right now, or the presidential races happening?
I just hope that everyone in my age group votes. Even though, like, I'm not really huge on politics, I usually vote for, like, whoever's a Democrat. And so hopefully my age group does vote this year.
Do you feel if any of the other candidates become president?
So if somebody else got it, then I guess that's what America feels like is best. I'm not a huge politics person, but it's something I should be more interested in. I feel like whoever is picked is obviously someone that everyone agrees is going to be the best for our country. And hopefully whoever ends up being in office, that they care for the people and they're not just trying to destroy things.
So, how do you feel about the presidential elections right now?
I feel what I've seen a lot is that there's a lot of support right now for Bernie Sanders, and I know that Hillary Clinton. People know that with Hillary Clinton's scandal with emails, it has dropped her in popularity. People still talk about her, but she does. But as a presidential candidate, I'm not sure that many Washingtonians and people in the United States will vote for her democratically. And what I've heard based on the Republican side, pretty much everybody that I thought was decent Republicans have dropped out, and Trump is still in the top poll. And and me, like many other Americans, really do hope. I guess we're just trying to see. We just want to make sure that Trump does not get the Republican vote, because it's not necessarily because he's a bad person. It's there have been showings, especially with one episode of The Simpsons, of what could possibly happen if Trump became president. I want to support Trump. That's their decision. I'm not going to stop them from supporting someone they agree with.
So, what research have you done?
Mainly watching HBO Bill Maher last week tonight, and talking with a few people I know on my campus.
And how do you feel if anybody else gets into the goes to the White House, basically?
So long as they understand where the country is right now, and not only can think of the short term but the long term necessities for this country, I think they can make a good leader, regardless if they're male or female.
How do you guys feel about the presidential election right now?
Disconcerted, frustrated. I don't know. How do you feel, man?
Be a very exciting year. I remember like going to the caucus when Obama was it was Obama versus Hillary, and it made me excited to be an American.
I think there's some of my own judgment involved too. That's why we went and kind of saw him for himself and saw like what he said live, as opposed to like hearing what CNN might just take out for like a 3-minute clip. So that was really important for me, at least, to go and see him and see what it's like for 2 hours, as opposed to like 30-second soundbite.
Yeah.
Probably a little influenced by it. I mean, we're human beings, but try not to be as much as I can.
I mean, the whole idea of what a national conversation is pretty much mediated by big and small media of all kinds, right?
What do you think will happen to America if Donald Trump is voted in?
We'll survive. I mean, we've survived absolutely terrible presidents. The thing that he reminds me of is the Italian prime minister for the last 10 years, Berlusconi. Like, he had this thing, he called it bunga bunga, which was basically like, I am going to be as out there, outrageous sexually, outrageous vocally, and I get to make new rules. Like, whatever the old political rules are don't matter. And that's the exact same thing that Donald Trump delivers, right? Like, I get to say I want to sleep with my daughter. That's cool. Like, doesn't matter anymore. New rules, bunga bunga.
Odds are really slim to none that Bernie will be on the ballot. Probably be Hillary versus some other person in the Republican Party. And if it's Donald Trump, he needs to learn how to moderate his tone, maybe. So I think either one would be fine.
Either one will be fine.
With the checks and balances they have in place, with the way the Constitution is written, I don't really fear for our future.
To help you decide, make your final decision, or are you using media, social media to influence?
Not social media. I'll use maybe the mainstream media, or is that the Wall Street Journal? I find they have a really good editorial section where you can find out more. Well, they'll draw parallels between our politicians and the Roman politicians, who are all very good actors.
So, did you attend the caucus today?
I did. It was my first one I've ever been to, and it was really interesting. Yeah.
What did you learn? What did you get from it?
I'm starting to learn about the whole process. Honestly, as I've gotten older, I never really took part of this, and I voted, but was vaguely aware of how any of this worked. And so I actually signed up to be a delegate. Honestly, this is my first experience with all of this. And I like that what's been happening lately is inspiring a lot of people like me to become part of it and to learn and to go to caucus. Well, it's just a democratic one. And then, we were choosing, everyone saying who they would vote for. It's funny how you have your own opinion and you're like, this is so obvious to me. Why doesn't everybody think exactly how I do?
Now, are you doing your own research outside of what you're getting in the media?
Am I doing some internet research? Absolutely, and it's useless because so much information out there and it's completely overwhelming. So what was good about today is I met my neighbors, and some of them are very active, and they're explaining this to me, and they're like, hey, this is what we do, and then after this, it's Olympia, and then after that, and after that. So it's perfect. It's a just community as well. So I've never expected to be inspired by a candidate, honestly, and this one was just it was ridiculous. I'm like, am I gonna cry right now?
The footage of I don't know, this is important to you,
Yeah.
the footage of the bird that came.
I did see that, and I'm like, this is the most Portland thing I've ever seen happen. It's put a bird on it, and I loved it so much. And if he doesn't get elected president, I'm like, here are my adoption papers, and maybe you could adopt me.
Absolutely. Now, do you feel
I guess what is kind of, to be quite honest, mystifying to me is there's all this talk of revolution and change. And when I talk to my parents and my parents' friends who were part of the movements in the 60s that did go through what is arguably the last cultural revolution that we experienced in this country, they all seem to think that they didn't realize the revolution was occurring until it was over. And when I look back at these last 8 years, and while some mistakes have been made, but knowing that now gay marriage is a universal right, Obama was just in Cuba this past week, making progress, and knowing where we are in Seattle in our bubble of sorts, and then trying to find middle ground, which is what you have to do when you're in a country of 300 million people. For example, when you look back at the Nader campaign, and that was the first time that I'd ever voted. And you think about what the world would be like today as opposed to where we are had Gore been elected. I just feel like we would be a lot more further along to the ultimate, progressive agenda. When Sanders is talking about universal health care, that is something that was originally proposed by Clinton. It didn't go through. Because I have relatives all over this country, and I can tell you that other places are not as liberal as we are here. He's certainly energizing the populace, and I just hope that those people that are so energized by Sanders can objectively look at the 30-year record of Clinton and be able to vote for her when the time comes, because the opposition is, I think, frankly, scary to most of us, at least here in this area.
But then just yesterday I saw this little bird that landed in front of Bernie while he's talking. And he doesn't leave. He just sits there. Okay, there goes the election right there. They call it Bernie the Snow White or something like that. I believe that his idea of democratic socialism is an idea that is probably too far-fetched for middle America. I think they're gonna crack on that one. So yeah. And right now I'm kind of more Bernie, not because of the bird, but You know, it's one of those things that you can only tell by body language. He's the only one with body language I like. You know, something about Hillary's body language. I wish I could just catch her and, Hillary, don't do that. He's laid back and watching, and she's like this, and the other guy's like this. So
do you feel that you are not allowing any of the social media affect any of your opinions? You're just basically going with your gut, or?
Well, it's interesting because we have social media from both sides hitting us, because some of our friends are Democrats, some of them are Republicans, and neither side likes the other. And I think actually the United States, in any candidate's hands, is going to be in for a rough economic period because of the demographics. I think the next generation is not going to be spending as much, and I think that will cause a slight implosion to the economy, which is fine, except our economy is deep in debt, and that's a problem. And so there will be problems with the banks. What we're seeing in Europe is what we'll be seeing over here later, and these are problems that have to be addressed. I don't know how exactly. There's no easy answer on that, and it's not. Socialism as such isn't the answer, nor is a socialistic democracy, nor is most of the militaristic changes of the Republican Party. Neither will create an easy time. And I think that's what should be explained I think the basic economics should be explained to the American people, instead of the grandstanding that we get on both sides. We have an economic problem, an economic contraction that will take place, and we can't stop that. But we can handle it differently. And